Coca-Cola started in the late 1800s in Atlanta, Georgia. Production began to expand throughout the United States, and by the 1930s, Coca-Cola was already being bottled in over 40 countries. As of today, Coke has bottling facilities in every continent except Australia and obviously Antarctica. Within the past 2 decades, Coca-Cola has focused on entering markets that have only recently become developed enough by their standards or open due to political changes. For example, India, regions of Africa, and the Philippines have seen an increase in bottling operations. As we examine these areas, it is well known that a lot of the developing regions' economies still rely heavily on agriculture. For example, 40% of the Philippines' labor force works in the agricultural sector. In 2012, nearly 50% of India's labor force worked in the agricultural sector. Agriculture plays a huge role in these developing economies. However, the need for agriculture means a huge need for water. These areas rely extensively on fresh water, and many of them are facing water shortages as it is. Coca-Cola has come into these regions to set up bottling facilities even though they face these shortages. When it takes 2.43 liters of water to produce 1 liter of product, how can this be good for the region? This has led us to ask the question, is it justifiable to produce this product in areas that are already experiencing water shortage?
There is a water supply problem in the world. Many scientists predict that we will need 17% more water by 2020 for the increasing population and incomes of those in developing countries. Coke's market has expanded to India more than anywhere else in the world due to their increasing middle class. From 1993 to 2011, Coke invested $2 billion in India, and they plan to continue expansion in that country. There are many villages in India that have been experiencing big industries taking common pool resources like water. The overexploitation of water in India has hurt farmers and local people. Many are protesting in attempts to shut down Coke plants. The village of Kerala succeeded in 2004 when the Coke plant there was closed. In 1999, Coke established a bottling plant in the village of Caldera in the province of Rajasthan, India. Rajasthan is a semi-arid desert area that experiences many droughts each year. The underground aquifer in Caldera is overexploited, and the water is being extracted at least 1.35 times the natural recharge rate. In the 5 years preceding the plant opening, water levels decreased by 10 meters. Many people in Caldera protest in hopes of shutting down the Coke plant, like what happened in Kerala. Farmers claim that their irrigation water is being contaminated, and farmers have to dig deeper and stronger wells to reach the depleting groundwater resource. Farming is an important source of income for many villagers in India. In Rajasthan alone, there are 92,000 farmers. Only 70 to 250 people are employed by the Coca-Cola plant. 80% of all the extracted water goes towards irrigating crops. The Coke plant in Caldera, at its highest point, used 8% of the water extracted in Rajasthan. The water shortage that Coke is contributing to could harm many people's livelihoods and well-being. Not only is Coke taking too much water from underground aquifers, but they are often charged with dumping toxic waste into the water sources and distributing waste as fertilizers to farmers. Coca-Cola is one industry and employs up to 250 of the 620,000 people in the Caldera region, so they are not entitled to the amount that they extract.
Roughly made up of 1 billion people, India is a growing middle class. 10% of the country's population reside in urban areas and consume around 10 bottles of Coca-Cola each year. India's Coke production provides jobs for around 7,000 local employees. In 2002, India was responsible for 39% volume growth and 23% industrial growth, this allowing for the company to break even for the first time. India's Coke production provides jobs and a hint of stability for their struggling economy. Without the Coca-Cola production in India, thousands of residents will scramble to find ways to provide for their families.
Coke consumption is one of the components linked to high obesity rates in the United States and Mexico. Coca-Cola products are sold in over 200 countries, and each day 1.7 billion products are consumed. Mexican consumption of Coke products exceeds that of the U.S., British, Indian, and Chinese combined. Basically, Coca-Cola is exploiting water, the essence of life, to provide beverages that cause obesity, diabetes, and heart disease.
Coke argues that they are bringing industry into very poor regions and employing those that might not be able to work if Coke had not entered the market to begin with. And stimulating a stagnant economy is a great thing to do. However, 250 jobs out of 620,000 people, like what we saw in the Caldera region, isn't anything to brag about. In other words, only one person in 2,500 is gaining employment through Coke's presence. To put that into something a little more relevant to the topic, if we were filling a Coke can and those 620,000 people equal to 12 ounces of the refreshingly carbonated beverage found inside, the 250 jobs created wouldn't even fill a can to the bottom of the label. It's less than half of 1% of the population. Why are we allocating limited resources to produce a product that is essentially acidic syrup? The biggest problem may not be how Coca-Cola is affecting the environment, but rather why are we drinking Coke in the first place? This might be the question Coke has to answer before we can begin to have lasting solutions.